All right, well, welcome back. This is a guide for exercise 6. So I've got Jamovi open here. I realize it doesn't show my screen. I'm going to try to change the view. I hope it works. Okay, so I sent you a database. You have to download it and save it on your computer in a place you can find it. And then I wish I had a big red pointer. And I suppose we have one of those. Okay. On the left, there's 3 white lines at the top in the blue. I hope you can see my cursor moving there. We're going to click that, and then we're going to press open. Then we're going to scroll down and pick this device. Okay, that brings up a screen on my computer where I can scroll through my files and choose the database. It's just like when you're attaching an email, something to an email, a file to an email. That's what pops up on your screen. And you pick the database by clicking on it, and then you press open on that little file. It's exactly like when you're adding something to an email. I know it's not showing on your screen. And then it'll just populate your screen automatically. And I'm going to pull the screen right so we can see more of the data. Okay, so our data is all in here, but we have to do a little work on our variables because it doesn't set up. See how our data type is wrong here? So I'm going to double click on ID, and maybe it's going to open. There we go. So it's not continuous, it's nominal data. So we'll change that, and we don't have to worry about these levels. And I'm going to use this arrow to the right to scroll to the next variable. So gender is ordinal. It's got 2 categories, and we're going to put our little key in here. 1 equals male, 2 equals female, and then we're going to click to the right and go on to our next, which is age. And this is continuous data, isn't it? And we don't need any levels. Ethnicity is 1 equals white, 2 equals black, 3 equals Hispanic, 4 equals other. And that is just the way my community looks by population size, and that's why I chose that. And that's ordinal. And we've got our levels already in here. Now we're in the GAD. This stands for Generalized Anxiety Disorder. And there are 7 questions people would answer using this assessment. And that you add up the scores at the end to determine how anxious they are. Now these are ordinal data. We've got 4 levels, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So 0 is basically none. 1 is some days they're anxious. 2 is several days. I think it asks how many days out of the week are you anxious. And 3 equals basically all the time. So you can see they get worse as the number increases. In fact, I'm just going to copy that. So that's Control C. So we can use that on all our GADs. Okay, so GAD 2, I'm going to press Control and V as in Victor to paste it. It changes to ordinal. And we'll do the same for all of these. Control V as paste. And we've got one more. So then we're into the PHQs, and they're actually rated the same way, 0 to 3. So that's ordinal data. And we're going to use the same descriptions we already wrote that line up with what the PHQ asks. So Control V. Now these reminders are not exactly what is stated on either one of these. So if we're writing up in your research paper a description of the questions, you want to put the exact words used on the assessment itself in your formal research report. These are just a tip for us as we're working with the data. And there's 9 on this assessment, and we add up the score at the end so we can interpret. Okay, I don't think we need a data U, but we'll look at that in a minute. Okay, so our variables are in here correctly. If we click data up here in the blue, we can see all our data with our variables correctly coded. I'm going to delete that U. Delete variable. Okay, so we do need a score for these general anxiety disorder assessment. So I'm going to click on the first PHQ. I'm going to right click. I'm going to press add variable, and I'm going to come down to computed variable and press insert. And we're going to call that GAD total. Okay, and that does not need any levels because it is going to be a number. In order to get to this, we're going to do GAD1 plus GAD2 plus 3 plus. After 7, we'll hit enter. Okay, and we can see that our numbers populated down here, and you can check them. Like, we'll start with number 1. 1 and 3 and 2, that's 6, and 3 is 9. Okay, check 2 or 3 of them. In fact, go back and check all your data that you don't have anything missing and that everything looks right. All right, so now we're going to do the same with the PHQ. I'm sliding the bar at the bottom right, and I'm going to click the top of this column and choose New Computed Variable. And we're going to name that PHQ total. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to do PHQ1. I'm putting the numbers in with my right-hand keyboard just because I could not type it well with the top one. I kept hitting 1 instead of Q. After 9, then we won't hit plus again. We'll hit enter, and our numbers added up, and you can double check them by adding up all the PHQs to check that the answer is correct. All right, we've got those in there. Then I want you to go back up to the blue line and choose analysis. And we're going to do exploration and descriptives like we did before. So we'll put, let's see, gender, age, ethnicity, and maybe just these totals in here. And maybe, should we split them by, we've got some information here saying we've got a missing data point. We might have to search for that and correct it. I'll let you guys do that. And here's a maximum number of 322. So there's something wrong with our data. So we need to go back and find that age of 322 and correct it. It should be 22. Okay, let's split it by gender. So we'll put gender down here and see what we get. And it shows us that for men, the mean age is a little older. ethnicity is a little different. The GAD total is higher, and so is the anxiety. PHQ measures anxiety. It's a patient health questionnaire. So they're a little more anxious and a little more depressed. Excuse me, the PHQ measures depression. The GAD measures anxiety. I said that backwards. So males are scoring higher in both. We've got our median, our standard deviation, and our minimum ages. So I'm going to go back here to data and find that person who's 322 years old. Yep, it kind of leaps out at you. And you just click in the box, change it to the right age. It's nice if I see the missing number anywhere. I'll let you guys find it. If you see a box that looks to be shaded, then the may have already been filled in by the system itself. Okay. Let's go back to our analyses. Oh, now it says none. So maybe we just had to fix that one. And now our minimum and maximum ages make more sense. 61 is our oldest. Okay. And let's go to t-tests. I know you haven't done these yet. In fact, that's our next chapter. So let's click descriptives, effect size, and confidence interval, because we were reading about those. And let's put our grouping variable, I guess we'll do gender again, and put our total scores in here. Okay, so we have less things to look at, right? So we've got our two scores here, and then our two groups, our male and female divided. And let's look up here. Do you remember the p-values? So right now this is saying it's not statistically significant, is it? Because it's not less than 0.05. So what can we say about this? That there was no difference between male and females on the scores? Because we've divided them into these groups. Or there's a difference, but it's not statistically significant. Here's our degrees of freedom, and see if you can find the confidence intervals and the effect size, and write all that out. In fact, I think I have you in the instructions to write out the results and then the discussion. And so it's hard for you to write the discussion, what this means, or even the results, unless you know what this study is about. So we're going to pretend this is a group. I'm going back to variables and data. Okay, so this is a group of students taking their first research and statistics class. And I'm the professor, and I want to know a little about them. I've got a gender, age, and ethnicity, but I want to know how anxious they are and how depressed they are at having to take this class, right? Some of you might be. And then I'm going to give it to them at the beginning of the class, which is now. And at the end, I might give it to them again to see how anxious they are or how depressed they are. I hope their anxiety would go down, but some might be depressed if they're not doing well in here. I know that won't be true of any of you. So do your best to write the results and the discussion, because we talked about that. We read about that this week with the confidence interval and all that comes with the t-test. And maybe you can Google how to write the results of a t-test and see what you get. That will help you to write the results. And A good effort is going to get you 100, right? You don't have to be perfect. I want to see that you really tried to figure it out. And you may not be able to see each other's answers this time, just so that I can see what you're doing. And you don't have to respond to one another, so that makes it a little simpler this week. But feel free, once you get some results in here, play around with this and do some other computations if you like in your analyses. Explore some more, maybe try to do some charts. And I don't know if you'll understand any of these, but you're welcome to try. And remember, if we put the wrong things in, our results are meaningless. But all right, that's the end of this demonstration. I hope it's clear that you have a good model to follow. And I've given you some different numbers so nobody can just take a screenshot of my video. I look forward to seeing how you do.